This is Momxiety with Sav Social, and I'm your host, Samantha. Let's get right into it before the baby wakes up. So, I decided to start this podcast to build a community for new moms and pregnant women just to feel like they have someone to relate to. Especially in your 20s, I feel like there's so many stages, whether you're single, married, having a baby. There are so many things going on, and I feel like if you do have a baby at a young age, it seems like it's kind of hard to relate to people around you, and that can feel a little bit lonely, and that's what I'm here for. Yeah, so I'm really excited about it. My husband did a last minute cancellation, but he is behind the camera to help me out here today. So, just to give you a little background, I've been with my husband for about 9.5 years now. We've literally been through high school, college, the military, and everything in between. We've always been very family oriented people and wanted to have our own family together. And I really want, between 2 and 3 kids. He wants between 3 and 4 kids. But whatever God has planned for us, we're going to be happy with. I've always wanted to be a young mom, so after our wedding in October, we decided to start trying for a family. A few weeks later, I started to have very mild symptoms, but I couldn't tell if I was making it up in my head or if I really was feeling nauseous. So I decided to take my first test, and throughout the next 2 weeks, just to fast forward, I was getting negative tests. And I was getting so anxious about it, and I feel like nobody's ever really talked about that with me. And although this may have seemed like such a short period, for me personally, I started thinking the worst. I thought, maybe I can't get pregnant. About 10 days later, I decided to take my last test. I said, I'm not taking anymore. I'm not going to keep stressing over this. If it's not the right time, it's not the right time. I even told my husband, you stay downstairs. If anything happens, I'll let you know. I didn't even want to make it a big deal because I had already taken literally like 10 tests throughout the whole week. And if I took one more and it was going to be negative, I was going to be very upset. So I shut the bathroom door. I took the test and I waited 3 minutes. Not to sound dramatic, but I was so anxious and so excited at the same time because I knew something was going on. Then I saw the two pink lines and I just felt every single emotion under the sun. Although this was completely planned, I was completely speechless. Like, I even recorded myself in video, and you could just see me go from smile to scared to in denial. And I literally projectile vomited, ran downstairs, and just stared at my husband. He knew immediately from my face. And and at that moment, when my husband just smiled at me, I knew he was going to be the best dad in the world. I can cry just thinking about that moment. It was so special and intimate to us. And even believe that like this was happening. So although we had so many emotions about this, we were super excited, and you know, we couldn't wait to share it with our family. I know like one really big polarizing topic you would say is that when exactly should you tell your family? And honestly, I think it's completely up to the mom and the dad, of course, when they feel comfortable sharing it. I don't think it's, you know, a specific timeline for everybody. And that's one thing I learned as a new mom, that everybody's plan is completely different and everybody's journey is completely different. So, yeah, so we basically told our family immediately. We were super excited about it. For me, when I told my mom first, I just remember when I saw my mom, I pulled her into the other room. I couldn't even get the words out. Honestly, I felt like I was a little kid telling my mom that I just got pregnant. I feel like no matter how old you are, telling your parents that you're pregnant is just the craziest thing in the world. And I kind of just looked at her and I was like, I have to tell you something. And I just remember she's like, what, like, what can you possibly be saying right now? And she just filled the blanket and she knew exactly what was going on. Like, even though she said, what are you talking about? She guessed it immediately and was so ecstatic. And it just was a relief on me because, if there's anybody out there that's pregnant or, just found out, it's crazy to tell people. Like, you just there's so much emotion to it, and you know, you don't know how people are going to react, and not that it even matters, but just naturally you just, are nervous about it. So I was super happy, of course, she was the easiest person I told. When I told my dad, he was half asleep. I started hysterically crying again. I feel like a little girl telling her parents something crazy. And he was super excited, of course. He jumped out of the chair. He didn't understand what I was saying, but he was really excited about it. And yeah, and same goes for my husband's family. When we told them, they were in shock. They were excited. They couldn't believe it. So now's the part of the story where I tell my brother that I'm pregnant. And keep in mind, the day before I found out I was pregnant, he proposed to his fiance. So we had gone out, to a local little pub near where he proposed. And, they were drinking and dancing and this and that. And I decided that I wasn't going to drink because, in the back of my mind, I was really hoping I was pregnant. Even though I had tested so many times and it was negative, I feel like I knew that something was going on. They were they weren't questioning it, but obviously they were like, drink, drink, and like, let's party and this and that. And I didn't want to take away from them, so I decided not to say anything until a few days later. They're gonna catch on that I'm not drinking and I'm not going out with them. And in the beginning, you don't know anything about being pregnant, so I didn't know when I was gonna start showing. Long story short, I decided to tell them at my parents' house, and it's just the two of them. They're eating dinner, and I was trying to think of a clever way to tell them without directly saying that I'm pregnant. Since they just got engaged, I was like, okay, asking them, when are you going to have the wedding and this and that, like, just to get an idea of like how I could weasel my way into telling them about this. So I decided to say, I thought this was a great idea. I was like, I'm really excited that you guys are waiting a little because I'd be really upset if I couldn't make it to the bachelorette. So from my point of view, I'm like, oh, they'll catch on immediately. Absolutely not. They both drop their forks. My brother literally turns white, and I'm like, what the hell are they mad at me? Like, what did I say? Like, I'm really thinking everything. Now I'm even more scared. I'm like, he's going to punch me in the face. No. He looks at me and he's like, I don't understand what you're saying. And my husband, because I can't spit the words out now, I'm terrified. And my husband was like, she's pregnant. Samantha's pregnant. They looked at me. They didn't, I thought they were mad. They didn't even smile at first. They both thought that I was like diagnosed with something that was like gonna kill me and I wasn't gonna make it to the wedding. Oh my God. I could not believe it. I almost started, like, I didn't know if I should laugh. I was like, what the heck just happened? Then finally, a couple minutes later, they caught on. They understood, well, like, exactly what I was saying, and they of course were so excited and giving me hugs and stuff. But I'm not joking. At that minute, I was like, is he never gonna talk to me again? Is this Teresa and Joe? Like, Gorga? Like, what the heck? We're never talking again. I couldn't believe it. But that was the story about my sister-in-law and my brother finding out I was pregnant, and it was too good. When I actually had the baby, um, I did notice a shift in my social life, of course, naturally, and I didn't think it would affect me as much, but you do go through like an identity crisis where, yes, I'm young and my friends are going out and they're drinking, and this is nothing against them, of course. This is like, that's of course something still I'm interested in. But now that you have a baby, you do have that responsibility to be taking care of him. And although that might sound like, of course, obviously, what did you think was going to happen? It's definitely an eye opener. And, you know, there is a shift. And I think that naturally that happens. And it's nothing to be upset about. Of course, in the beginning, that affected me, like, you don't realize how much things do change. And even just in your lifestyle, for example, like, my husband and I are very neat people. We try to keep the house tidy at all times. but I guess we didn't realize once you have a baby, there is a lot of things with it. And sometimes it's okay to like step back and just say, you know what, this area might not be clean today, but this one will be. It's not, I think, as new moms, we give each other, give ourselves huge checklists and like this has to be done and cooking is today and cleaning is today and changing diapers and cleaning bottles, and there's like a forever to-do list, and that's natural. And I think that we need to give ourselves a little more credit for what we are doing throughout the day, and letting, this is just not the season that I'm going to be going out to eat every day, or this is not the season of me having dinner cooked every day, or whatever the case may be. But I feel like we need to give ourselves more freedom and just, reel it in a little bit and realize like it's okay. Nothing has to, it doesn't have to be perfect. It's a work in progress for all of us, and we're all learning. So that's basically the gist of why I started the podcast, and basically, when I found out I was pregnant, how it all happened. And I'm going to be transitioning into the next segment, which is going to be called Naptime Tea. I'm super excited about this. Basically, I'm going to be going over like controversial topics for moms and parenting and kids, and just giving my opinion. And of course, this is just my opinion. You know, I know everybody thinks differently, and this is just like something I wanted to share. I think it'd be kind of cool to go over. So, the first topic is gender reveals. Um, this is actually a big one. I feel like some people think it's the silliest thing, and some people go crazy and all out. So, my personal opinion, I think gender reveals are very fun. I think it's a cool idea. I think, honestly, of course, regardless of the baby's gender, you're excited. Um, but I think it's just one thing to help you like look forward to being a mom and like, start shopping. I don't see a problem with it. For us, we actually just did a little intimate thing at our house where we popped the balloon, and the blue confetti came out. It was something simple, and I feel like when you're pregnant you just need something to like make you feel like you see the end a little bit, especially when you're going through all the crazy symptoms. Okay, so the second topic is breastfeeding in public. I don't know, this is just me personally, I don't know why people get themselves in a tizzy about this. I feel like if the baby's got to eat, the baby's got to eat. Do you go and hide in a corner when you eat your pizza? I don't know. Like, it's a little weird to me that people get all crazy about it. All right. So then the third topic is spanking your kids. So this one's a little, I don't know. Me personally, I don't think that you should spank your kids. I I understand. I feel like, and I'm talking about like a little pat. I'm not talking about like a beat down. I understand why people do it, of course. And I guess I'm just not in that situation yet. Me personally, I feel like if you hit, they're going to learn to hit. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's my opinion, and we'll see what happens when he starts getting crazy. I don't know. I don't feel like I could do it. He's just a baby. I don't see how people could do that, but again, to each his own, and I'm, whatever. We'll see what happens. But um the fourth topic is building the immunity and germs. I'm specifically talking about newborns for this. So my son was born in August, and at the end of August. So basically we were going into cold and flu season. I was like a nut freak, and so was my husband, and it's funny because before he was born, like we didn't even think. We're like, yeah, of course everyone's going to see him, this and that. As soon as he was born and we saw how little he was, I was like, this is a precious little boy. We cannot let him touch anybody. Like, it's so scary. And in the beginning, when they get sick and they're so little, you don't know what you're doing. So I just remember we had like the doctor on standby at all hours. Like, we were constantly contacting the office. And the problem is with me and my husband is we Google everything. Do not do that. When you Google, you see the worst of the worst. This, the kid has a cold and you think he's like whatever, I'm not even going to say. The craziest thing. It's definitely, scary in the beginning. I think that honestly, it was a weird situation because, not weird, but it was different because he was born in the beginning of like a cold and flu season. So we were definitely more on edge. But maybe if he was born in the summer, it would be different. But we were those crazy people. We did not want anybody touching him. And honestly, didn't really see a problem with it. He still got sick regardless. So did it really matter? Who knows? But that is that was definitely a big thing for us that we were very nervous in the beginning. Okay, and then lastly, I'm going to talk about the 3 icks of the day. When people say we're pregnant, again, this is all personal opinions. You could either agree or don't. I don't really care. But I will say, when people say we are pregnant, I don't understand that. You are not going through anything that I'm going through. You will, you did the job in the beginning. Then, okay, you know what I'm saying. But, at the end, you have a baby, of course, but the mom is going through literally everything. She's feeling all the symptoms in the beginning and in the middle and the end. Like, I just really don't understand how people say that. And that's not like something that I get crazy about, but I just don't get it. Um, the second ick of the day is asking when they're going to have another kid. Um, I just don't really understand why people say this. And I know some people don't like mean it to be malicious or something, and probably most of the time they don't. But when you think about it, it's like you really don't know what someone's going through, and it's just a little odd to me that that's even a question. I don't feel like I would ever ask somebody that, and maybe if I have, it definitely wasn't from like a bad place. And then the third ick of the day is when people try to figure out when the baby was conceived. I'm not kidding. The amount of people that were trying to calculate if I was pregnant before the wedding. First off, that is so freaking weird. I don't know. This could just be me. Me and my husband always talk about this. When I first told people I was pregnant, they really tried to like sit and be like, "Wow, that was really fast," or "Oh, that was quick," or this and that. I was like, "What the hell?" I don't know. That just was weird to me. I've never like saw a pregnant woman and was like, let me try to figure out when she did something with her husband. No, I never that never crossed my mind, but again, people are funny. Just to wrap this up, I just want to tell all the new moms or the women who would like to have babies and start a family to just give yourself grace and don't rush it. Just think about it. It's all on God's timing. It's not up to us to decide when we're going to have a baby. And honestly, that may be frustrating for people, or that might be annoying for people like me to say, like, oh, you had a baby already. Why are you saying that? But, you never know, and you should never measure your life on somebody else's ruler. That's like one of the things I always like to think about. I always look at people online and I'm doing the same thing that you might be doing. Like, oh, wow, I can't believe they have that. Or, good for them that they're doing this now. Like, I wish I was doing that. But it's not healthy for yourself, or it doesn't benefit anybody to be doing that. And I just want to say thank you for listening to Momsiety. And I hope to talk to you again during nap time. See ya.